Warheads, and welcome to the League, exploring League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
And today we're talking about the Spear of Vengeance Calista, who was released November 20th, 2014. I know.
Old lady.
Yeah, I guess she is. She feels really new. Like so many. I don't know.
I know. She didn't feel new, but 2014, that's also...
Yeah.
Wasn't that like just 2 years ago?
She's someone that hasn't had a lot of lore reworks and also hasn't had a lot of gameplay reworks. She's just she got released and she's been her ever since.
Yeah, and there's sometimes she falls into the meta, sometimes she doesn't, but Riot doesn't really seem to give a shit about her.
Yeah, she's just, when she's good, she's good. When she's bad, she's bad. It's whatever.
Yeah, I think it's just because her play pattern feels so unique compared to some others, or at least some of the mechanics of her. Is that what makes her feel fresh to me? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm ass at auto attacking and jumping with her.
Yeah, it's too much. I can't handle just regular right clicking. Never mind double right clicking.
I like her, but I'm not any good at her.
That's because you don't play her enough. All Kalista, all month, Mark.
Let's do it.
I'm down. She's pretty cool.
She's cool. You got any fun quotes for our lady Calista?
Oh, I legit did not listen to her voice.
Don't worry, I wrote one down for you. Just guess what her voice sounds like.
Okay. I know it's like spectral, and so I'm not gonna be able to do it because there's some kind of filter on it, right?
Right.
Do we want to do it in the background?
I'm curious to see your impression of what you think spectral is too.
Okay, so you guys make spooky sounds.
Okay.
And I'll do it. Go ahead. Spooky sounds.
I was waiting for you, sorry.
It's going to be such a short quote.
Okay.
You have to do spooky sounds first. We go where we are needed. I was first going to do like a really posh, like Caitlyn British accent. You know?
She does kind of have
really?
A little bit of...
We go where we all needed.
A little bit, I guess.
Certainly not Caitlyn level.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shit.
We
go
trust
where we all...
is a weapon.
My name's Matilda.
But Calista.
Great.
I ruined your quote, Mark. I'm sorry.
No, it's gone. It's happened.
Shit.
I've been betrayed.
Soft are the targets of our spears today.
Oh shit, you added the echo. You didn't even need spooky sounds. You did them yourself.
You know.
I'm so proud of you.
Fucking overachiever over here.
I know, right? Like the Heimerdinger impression wasn't enough.
Excuse me, Professor. You assigned us homework if you did. I think you forgot.
Somebody
Weren't we
gets
supposed to
extra
have
credit.
a quiz today? God, you were that fucking kid in school, weren't you? All right, so on the universe page, Calista has her bio, her release video called The Pledge, and 4 short stories.
Yeah.
4!
Yeah.
This is like the one time where the stories are actually on universe.
Yeah, and they're like, she's not just like fuzzily in the background of them and it's about somebody else. Like, they're her stories, I think.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, I guess with the couple of them, it's mostly about the people that she's kind of either menacing or making pledges with.
Yeah.
I did have a note about that too. Yeah.
I was thinking from her point of view it would be a little boring because it sounds like she's just like, vengeance, must get, I have a job, revenge, and like that's it.
Also, like it's tough to do an internal monologue with Calista because it's implied that her internal monologue is actually just all of the souls of the people that she's taken, and she's just in there somewhere. So it is a bit difficult, and I think the way that they've chosen to do her stories works because she's such a good, essentially kind of like a horror movie character if you're on her wrong side. It's that I think doing the stories that way, like it really works for who she is.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was kind of torn a little bit when going through all this because I think they're all pretty good. And it made me want, like, I would like to see trying to tackle Calista as a perspective character and, kind of seeing some more kind of happen with her. But on the other hand, it's like, it's kind of nice to just have her as this sort of inhuman, like you said, kind of multi-minded concept of like a vengeance spirit. And that's a hard character to, like you said, have any sort of internal monologue or really follow them as the main character of a story, you know?
Yeah, I think it could work, like, if it's from the point of view of the Calista that is still inside of there. Like, she's kind of lost and trapped and occasionally peeking out for her, boy toy.
Yeah, like a struggling type. Like, you get a lot of it from her perspective, and then occasionally another thing will like burst out and you'll get like a line from some random spirit in her head and then back to her. That might be cool.
Yeah.
It's a bit tough though. I can see why they didn't try.
Yeah.
That's a high risk play.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I have notes on her bio and the first short story, Invocation.
Yeah, and her bio's by Anthony Reynolds Lene.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's not credited on the universe page, as always.
That's right. Even the ones that are credited to Anthony Reynolds don't take his new last name into account. So.
Oh, super rude. Okay, so Calista was just a normal girl in Shurima. I do have that written down. I just felt like I should say it. I was so upset John the last time with Kaisa. Kalista really was a general in Viego's army, although in her bio it just says, an empire none now recall.
I recall so much about, way more than
and I want to.
Know.
Yeah, I wish I didn't have those memories.
I will say, though, forgot the name of it.
Camivore, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I knew it began with a C, but I couldn't. Anyway. In this bio, it blames Calista for the queen, Isolde's, getting poisoned.
Yeah, that's new. That's a new bit of info that wasn't in any of the Ruination shit.
Yeah. Maybe not blames. It's like she diverts the blade, but it kind of accidentally gets, yeah.
Yes.
Calista, not quite good enough at her job.
No, she's great at it. I mean, Viego is still alive, right? That was her job.
That was her job.
My phone, by the way, auto-corrected Viego to Virgo more than once. I didn't catch it. Anyway, Viego had many people out to get him, and I get that because Viego is the worst. But like we said, when Calista saved him one time, she deflected the blade and hit Isolde instead. So Calista was sent to find a cure and eventually discovered the Blessed Isles, or Helia. Did we decide on that
I think
one?
Helia sounds good.
Yeah, Helia sounds the opposite.
Not quite as blessed as you would hope.
Like it was Helia, and then they just added another L when it became the Shadow Isles, and then it was Helia.
Right? That should be its
do
new
that.
name.
Something...
Why did they go God, it was right in front of them the whole time.
God, that's like Institute of War tier stuff. It was like... Oh,
I mean, in their defense, I don't think hell exists in this world. At least not like the Christian hell. Anyway, the masters who were at the Blessed Isles agree to heal the poisoned queen, but by the time Calista returns home, the queen was already dead. Viego demanded that they take Isolde there anyway, and it's Hecarim who gets Calista to agree. Again, I think we really want this conversation. We talked about it with Hecarim. That, like, why did she listen to him? We don't really know.
She was in jail at the time. I bet she didn't have many options.
No, but Callista's like so loyal. I don't know. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I think it would be more than just I want to get out of jail. She doesn't seem like the type.
Yeah, I mean, even in the bio, they kind of frame it as like Hecarim is sort of lying and saying, "Oh, this will help him get Viego, that is, get closure." Even if it's just
right.
kind of,
Okay.
Yeah, but I completely agree because
it was all bullshit. But
yeah, like the whole conceit of her character is that she's been betrayed. So really understanding the relationship of who she was betrayed by is like really important, and it's a shame that Hecarim only shows up there really in that way.
Yes, they do kind of mention, well, we'll get to it a little bit later, but anyway, when they get to Helia, the masters refuse to help Isolde, so Viego orders Calista to kill them. She refuses and does think Hecarim would be on her side, so it seems like he's been loyal to her in the past, but again, I would like to see that relationship. Anyway, Hecarim stabs her in the back instead. Apparently then like a bunch of other people stab the shit out of her as she's falling.
Right, that was not made clear in Hecarim's story how many additional times she got fucking stabbed.
Yes, somehow though she is still alive to watch all the people that were loyal to her also get murdered, and as she's dying, she swears vengeance. She wakes up in the Blessed Isles, but they're now cursed. They're now the Shadow Isles, or Helia. It kind of mentions that Calista eventually forgets Hecarim, and he was the one who betrayed her, so now she just knows that she's full of vengeful feels. And yeah, it doesn't really talk about what she does in her bio. we get it from the stories. You know, people can summon her if they want vengeance, and she comes and she takes their soul and they get vengeance together, but that's not in her bio. Isn't like her whole thing?
It's a lot about the setup.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I guess I'm okay with, as long as they have like immediate, because they have immediate short stories that kind of go into more detail, so I'm okay with it not necessarily being in the bio. I do still have some logistical questions.
Oh, go on.
I feel like it's made very clear that even the really strong mist creatures can only go where the mist is. Mm-hmm. So I'm really curious how Calista gets to places where there is no mist. I know that one of her stories is during the Ruination, so there is mist there, but not like I think the first story they have, like, there's no Ruination. Someone wishes for vengeance and she just fucking pops up and brings some mist with her. I'm curious, like, how she is the only kind of mist wraith that seems to be able to buck the need for the mist to travel places.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's a big question of, like, how does the deal situation work? Is the deal making incidental? Why it's also a very integral part of her character that, like you said, the logistics, there's not really much explained for it. And she's in a weird state compared to a lot of the other specters. And I guess some of that we can attribute to being just the circumstances of her being killed and consumed by this emotion. And I could get that of being like, oh, it's this lingering will that sort of, like, you know, keeps her sort of separate. But it would be nice to get some more about it. I'm not mad at it terribly, because I think the concepts are so cool.
Yeah, I don't want to midichlorian it or anything. Like, I don't think they need to give us the details. It's just weird because they give us so many details about how it works for everyone else. It was just weird that they had kind of the outlier and then didn't touch it.
Mm-hmm. I think it could even just be as simple as, like, she's not linked to the mist because she's not really
She died before the Ruination happened,
oh yeah,
technically.
That too, for sure. But I was also just thinking, like, mentally, I feel like she's not getting swarmed into the mist. Like, the mist wouldn't have the same effect on her as it does on other people. Like, she's already so lost that she's not going to feel more lost. If that makes sense? I don't know.
Right. And I think something about Calista, too, is... So, Calista right now is the Spear of Vengeance, which is kind of an important distinction from Calista herself. So Calista is still Calista, but the Spear of Vengeance is more like a hive mind of all the betrayed souls that she has now helped, which is why she always refers to herself as we. Mm-hmm. And she's kind of buried deep beneath them all, and every new soul that she consumes also buries her even deeper. So at some point,
that's certainly true.
Who knows how much of Calista will be left.
There's a lot of vengeance in Runeterra.
So
I'm amazed assholes up in here.
I was gonna say, I'm amazed that she's not, like, inundated with, like, a waiting list. Like, you give me 6 weeks till we get your vengeance going. I've got all the Eastern Seaboard to deal with, man. You know, she should delegate, sublet, or subcontract rather.
My guess is only a small part of Runeterra knows she exists. Otherwise, she'd never be able to get any sleep. You know,
right? No days off for the Spear of Vengeance.
It's like, you're selling a good product, you just need to market better.
Mondays, am I right?
I like overworked Calista. I like that idea.
Can that be a skin riot? She's trying to fight for a union. all the little vengeful spirits are like, we can't do this anymore.
So one thing that caught me by surprise too was that she's Viego's niece.
Oh, yeah. What did they mention that in the bio, or was that one in a random story?
It's in the bio.
I think they mentioned it in the bio.
It was in the bio. Okay.
Yeah. It's a little weird with how young Viego is. I mean, they're weird ghosts, and it can happen that way for sure, but I don't know.
I mean, John has, like, nephews that are 3 years younger than him, so...
Yeah,
that's true.
For reference, because I did actually look this up because I was curious about exactly that same thing, Callista's dad was the king of Camivore. He died in a hunting accident, which is why, or a war or something. He died, and that's why
two very different things.
That's why Viego took over. That's why he's so young. That's why he's the same age as her.
Okay,
but her dad was actually the old king.
Why did Viego take over?
Because he's a dude, honey. Kings.
Okay.
I mean, who knows? I don't know.
The king only had a daughter. You can't
Okay.
have a woman in charge of a
Could you
kingdom.
imagine someone write this AU where Calista is made queen after her father dies, and how much better Camelot or whatever it's called would be?
Camelot, you got it. And then Ledros would be, her like, and he would never die, so you'd never need to worry about, any sort of vengeance there because he's fucking Ledros. Goddamn beast.
Has
Interesting.
he been dead the whole time? I thought he was like on the army with her or whatever.
Yeah, he was. He was the shield of the king, and she was the spear of the king.
Then why would he never die?
Well, just because he's a fucking tank.
He's very good, I guess.
Yeah, he's very good. The only reason he died is because he, backed up Calista.
Don't back up your lady, folks.
That is the takeaway from all this. But,
If you take just one thing from Calista's story, abandon your lady.
I would say stop having kingdoms. Let a lady take over.
So real quick, her old lore, I wrote all of it because it is very short. It is
Ooh.
probably less than a Heimerdinger. I didn't
shit.
actually count it out, but
Well, then calm down.
sorry. A specter of wrath and retribution, Calista is the undying spirit of vengeance, an armored nightmare summoned from the Shadow Isles to hunt deceivers and traitors. The betrayed may cry out in blood. To be avenged, but Calista only answers those whose cause she deems worthy of her skills. Woe betide those who become the focus of Callista's wrath, for any pact sealed with this grim hunter can only end in the cold fire of her soul spears.
So it's still similar. It's just like I feel like she's a little choosier.
Yeah,
This
she's
bio.
less discriminate.
Yeah.
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 Also, Soul Spears. That's a fun name that I don't think
Yeah,
we
that's
get
a-
or other.
You're so cute.
Yeah, it's interesting, I guess, because that was some of the questions I had. Speaking again about logistics, and that I guess to your broader point, like what happens when you've just got millions of people who are just like, I want vengeance on this guy, and they go a little wide with the concept of betrayal in a few of these stories, I would argue. So I feel like maybe giving her more of a reason to be a little more choosy might even help with some of that. But,
I guess I would say like I think a lot of people would want vengeance, but it is perfectly known that you are going to die and give up your soul for it. So
that's true.
It's not a very minor betrayal that you would summon Calista. I feel like you'd have had to have lost everything already.
Cheated in a game of Monopoly.
I'm getting the doll and I'm summoning this bitch right now.
That's a fair point, honestly. And I guess in a world where shit like the Shadow Isles and Ruinations and crap happen, you might be able to take that a little more seriously in terms of I really don't want my soul to have that happen to it. So
Party with Calista's fucking souls all inside her.
her entourage.
All right, so the first short story is Invocation. Yes,
Graham McNeil.
Graham McNeil. Thank you. This is also not credited on the universe page.
Yeah.
I think the other stories are, but not this one.
Yeah.
This one's pretty short. It's told from the point of view of a woman who's only ever referred to as the Sword Wife. She's ready to get revenge for her dead husband and children. Someone who was supposed to protect them, he's just referred to as the Oathbreaker, had betrayed them all and a bunch of families died. So she knows she can't get revenge on her own because he's too guarded, so she summons Calista. This involves like a stick man doll that she must have made. It's like made of sticks and twine, and 3 nails. She has to nail the doll to the wall and say the name of the man she wants to kill each time. And Calista shows up afterwards and offers the Sword Wife a spear, the one that she pulled out of her chest that Hecarim put in there. So the Sword Wife kills herself with it and turns into a spectral creature like Calista, and it ends with the two of them walking off together, fully armed, ready to get vengeance. And I think this is when I realized that they get to do it. Like, I thought that they had to offer themselves and they would die and their souls would, go to Calista somehow, but Calista would be the one to kill and get vengeance. But no, she's like, oh, you can do it.
Come with me.
Come with me, we'll do it together.
Yeah, she seems a little flexible on just procedure. She plays it loosey-goosey. Sometimes
Yeah.
you need to do the ritual. Sometimes don't worry about it. Sometimes I need
Yeah.
to stab you, or you need to stab yourself. Sometimes don't worry about it. But that's fine. I'm fine with her being a little loose about it. Whatever.
Yeah. If you're the
Yeah.
Spear of Vengeance, you get to make your own rules.
That's true.
I could also imagine that there would be through time, different rumors of different ways to summon her, and maybe they just all work.
They're all bullshit, and she's just like, whatever.
She's like, all you have to do is like ask for me, dog. Like,
Stop carving your request in the name of in a donkey or whatever the fuck you would do.
Just say what you want, Venmo me your soul, and we'll be fine.
Venmo me.
Venmo.
Very good, very good.
I like this modern day Calista.
Yeah.
Come up with shit.
Sure, I like that idea of because I think the ritual is a cool detail to have.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it leverages the whole being impaled by spears imagery, and at no point in the story does it ever call out like, oh, the nails were reminiscent of the spears that now pierce her. It's like, no, it's like if you know, you can just kind of pick up on it naturally. It treats us like you're a little smart, and then the idea of playing with different rituals that people would do in different times or places would also be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I liked the imagery in this one was very good too. This one had very like horror movie type imagery where each nail you hammered it in, she was like slightly closer to you until she was like right up in your shit. But there was also like the good. It wasn't kind of like the demon type thing where she was summoned and she's like, all right, well, you summoned me, your soul's mine now. She was like, she like held out the spear and was like, all right, you can do this or you can't. I'm fine either way, but
run.
like I'm here now. It's whatever. Yeah, it was good. I liked it. I think if we could have gotten a short cinematic of this, I think this would have been a very, very cool champion reveal.
It's much better than her actual champion reveal, which is fine, but this would have been so much cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked her champion reveal too, but I think I would have liked this better, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said before, but Riot tends to find a lot of success outside of action in quiet places. Where sad things are happening, and this would be, like you said, it would be a lot more intense. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying, John. I think all those three kind of hits of the hammer on the nail, and like her kind of she's off in the distance, and then like you said, she got right in front of you. It's very effective, very effective.
It would have been a very like Fiddlesticks style.
I was gonna say
cool.
it could be reminiscent of the Fiddlesticks cinematic, which works so well because it's also a non-action piece, really.
Yeah.
I would say
it's an atmosphere piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Atmosphere.
Bring me the atmosphere.
Oh man.
Shit. Yeah.
Now she's also part of Inside of Land by Ian St. Martin.
I think this one was a recent.
Yeah.
Oh, it is recent?
Yeah, because I think this was put out. I think I remember talking about this when we were doing the Rise of the Sentinels episodes. Like they put this out like pretty recently before the event because it's kind of taking place as the Rise of the Sentinels, Ruination, whatever is spreading out. It's like a worse harrowing than anything else.
A worse harrowing.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah. But
who's got notes for this one?
I do. It's long in its writing, but the events are pretty short.
Yeah.
But it follows a Bilgewater captain named Tudre. I don't know.
Tudorare.
Turd Ferguson. But,
I read it as turd from back here, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. But he's floating along in like some wreckage of his ship, and we kind of see flashbacks to what had happened, where he had decided to sail out during a harrowing, kind of against the advice of his first mate, because everyone else left their shit out because it's the harrowing, you just run. And he's like, it's all there for the taking. And then we see later on that when they did get caught up in the harrowing, he he lets one of this like a young sailor boy just get like snatched up by the mist instead of helping him, and he stabs one of his crew members to get a spot on a lifeboat. And the whole time while he's kind of having these flashbacks, he's also kind of rationalizing, sometimes out loud, and like defending against this sort of growing sense of guilt and dread. And finally he's confronted by Calista, and the spirits of his dead crew kind of like rise up around him, and she just like pushes like the spirit not like into his neck, but just kind of like pushes him underwater and drowns him. That's mostly it.
It was like, I feel like we haven't gotten to see her kill people outside of spearing them to death, so it is fun. Just like,
it's so fun.
I don't need to I'll just hold you down here a minute and we're good.
Yeah, it's more intimidating, frankly, rather than this, like, I think what I like about that too is in addition to it feeling a little more, a spear through, it feels like a very quick thing, and that one feels a little more like mean, I guess I would say. But I like it because it comes like right the moment after he is trying to plead with her and like, oh, you don't know what it's like to lead people. And that's like one of the moments where her sort of spear of vengeance thing breaks, and it's like she connects with it, but in a really pissed off way, and then just grinds him down into the water. Yeah.
That was like a Calista decision, not a vengeful spear decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked how it was like his crew came for him. That was so much more terrifying of a visual, because obviously Calista coming for you was very scary, but to also have your entire crew that you just killed, like, oof.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. It's a lot of pissed off people.
Yeah, there was some real good imagery in this story too.
Yeah.
I know, like, very early on, he's showing his first mate a map of the area, and he's kind of circled like, oh, we're gonna hit these areas, and it says Tudor straightened, finding some of the red ink had come off on the map to stain his finger. A very like early blood on the finger type image, or
blood on the hands
type imagery before any of his crew had actually died. It was pretty it was good.
Yeah, I think the writing throughout this is just well done. It's pretty effective. Like I said, the events were really short, but a lot of the fun is in reading it, because I think it communicates the horror element very well. The Black Mist itself, again, comes off reminds me sort of like the Hecarim story, where when it's in action in the stories, it's very intimidating and a very frightening description of what's happening. And again, we see like those people who can't fight it off. Like, he talks about them being these hardened sort of mercenaries and pirates who are just like begging for mercy and getting none of it. So again, it's just all a real shame when you look at Rise of the Sentinels. Like, oh, this is so cool and serious, and it's kind of scary a little, and then it's like
so much.
And then there's fart jokes.
Yeah,
I still can't get over that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to harp on it too hard. I think it's hard because Calista's so integral to so much of what happens in that, and it's even weirder after going through all this that she doesn't show up in that also.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
So
it would have been really cool to get a little bit of progression on Calista's story in the Rise of the Sentinels event.
Yeah. I think that would have been like, I feel like a lot of the missed beats in Rise of the Sentinels, I was excited and hopeful would maybe get some due in the Ruined King, and a few of them did, but Calista was, outside of a few lore bits that you could collect that referenced her, did not get a whole lot there, which was kind of a bummer.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame. I think she's just really cool. It's interesting coming off of Kaisa, where we had a lot of issues with the disconnect between her like visual design and the story they were telling. I think Calista is a really good, like, it all feels very harmonious. I think her design is really strong and tells a lot of, the being pierced by the spectral, the spirit, soul spears, that's what it was, is a nice visual to really clearly tell the story in a single beat, right?
Yeah.
Now, the other linked thing on her universe page is Roots of Ruin, which we had talked a bit about with some of the other champions, but this is basically just like a family tree of the Ruination.
Yeah,
if you ever see where everybody fits into it.
If you're ever confused about who goes where, this is helpful.
Yeah. Again, weird that she's on here and then doesn't really get much to happen. It's like, why even include her? Just pretend she's not there. You know
what would have been fun is like the nuance of, so what are they called, these people that she is?
Wraiths?
Wraiths? Okay.
Oh, okay,
of sort of like her being a wraith that isn't pure evil, I guess, if that makes sense.
I think most of them aren't, actually.
I guess it's fair. The ones that we see are so evil, and the ones that like the Sentinels fought seemed to be pretty evil. So I feel like Calista would have been an interesting kind of wrench thrown in there. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. She's much more neutral, right? Like,
yeah,
I think there's a lot of interesting situations you could get into with Calista. Not so specific to Rise of the Sentinels, but you know, putting her in places where she's being called on by betrayers who were maybe doing something good, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, imagine you're betraying, she I guess you could argue betrayed the order to Viego, right? Like, from someone's perspective, they might see that as a betrayal, right? And I'd be interested to see that, or to see her with like, I know she's got a line towards Graves and Twisted Fate. It would be interesting to see her interacting with people who have maybe been betrayed and have like chosen to forgive the betrayer, and see her perspective on that, things like that, you know.
That's true.
I mean, I guess that Graves Twisted Fate one is a pretty good example of someone who's betrayed who has forgiven the betrayer.
Yeah.
But yeah, she doesn't necessarily, she's not interested in the forgiveness. She's more trying to pull Graves back into the, well, you know, you could kill him.
If you really wanted to.
We're short this month.
Give in to your hate.
I need more spears, dog. Cool. Do we want to do the Echoes Left Behind?
Yeah, so this is one that we covered a bit with Hecarim, although Hecarim is, you know, just kind of, we mentioned before, this is first a Ledros story, and then also touches upon Thresh, Hecarim, and Calista. And in case you are unaware, Ledros is, we mentioned he was kind of the shield of Viego, so he was another one of the kind of generals. He worked a lot with Calista, and he had many feelings for Calista. It's kind of implied, I feel like the story's kind of implied that they had a relationship. The lore blurbs we get in the Ruined King kind of imply that Ledra, the locket that's talked about in this story, Ledros kind of gave it to Calista, and Calista gave it back and was like, sorry, I can't be what you need. So so it seemed kind of not necessarily unrequited, but at least she was like, you know, career first. But yeah, Ledros is in love with her.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I agree. It's in some spots it seems to be kind of one thing, and then in others, kind of another thing. But I think it regardless, I think it still works. I guess I would say, like, I'm not too mad at the inconsistencies.
Right.
I can run through a summary real quick.
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
So it does open on Ledros, and he's kind of remembering his last moments. He was one of the, you know, because he was, you know, so much, balls to the wall for Calista. He was killed alongside her during the betrayal, right, and the ruination. And so he's kind of waking up and going through that that process of remembering his last moments before becoming his formed self again. And he's got this locket, like John said, that kind of ties him to Calista. Thresh, I think, does Thresh show up at the start? Is that right?
Yeah, start and end, yeah.
They kind of have a little interaction, and this is kind of to what you were saying, Rebecca. This is where we see that Ledros is not really like Thresh or most of the other Spectres. He's not like the other boys, and that he's not really evil. He is, he's just more hates being trapped in this undeath sort of state, and just really wants to help free Calista from it. But he can sense her. She's on the hunt. He helps her kind of hunt down some spirits of the Iron Order. And when they interact, this is where we kind of learn, I think, maybe the most, that he had loved her and he's trying to help free her. And and this has happened multiple times. He's gone to her and shown her this locket, which he does. And it gives her kind of like a quick lucid moment where she's back to being Calista. And it seems like almost a 51st Dates thing where she kind of goes through all the emotions of realizing what's happened to her and things like that. And then it's gone. It only lasts for a second, like it always does. And Ledros just kind of laments like how he's tried to do this countless times. And he doesn't know how to solve it. He's tried killing Hecarim. He's tried having Calista kill Hecarim. He's tried to, get himself killed in multiple ways. And that's where we get like a bunch of cameos too, where like Rise killed him at one point. Yaoi killed him at one point. Leona, I think, were the big three that I spotted out.
Yeah, I think those were the three I had too.
Yeah, and he just he keeps coming back, right? So he decides to try telling Calista that he betrayed her through his inaction, I guess you would say, like failing to stop the betrayal that got her killed. And she kills him, and when she does, she again has kind of a moment of lucidity and realizing what's happened. Unfortunately, he still comes back and gets kind of fed up with the whole thing and throws the locket and determines to go find a way to end the curse once and for all. And then Thresh kind of shows up at the end and takes the locket, and Mustache Twirls like, oh, he was so close to getting her back. He doesn't realize.
Yeah, I felt like the saddest part of that one was as he was dying, he thought, I did it. Hell yeah. I succeeded. And then it was like, I guess after he came back from the mist that he realized he'd failed. Was that how it worked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even know how long he was in the mist, because when specters die, they return to the mist, and then they have to like fight their way back out, which is not easy. and he doesn't even know. He said it could have been months, could have been years, but he gets out and he knows Calista is still the same.
Yeah. It was kind of a bummer. I feel like the ending, it would have been much cooler if instead of Thresh kind of popping out and being like, tee hee hee, you were so close. I would have much preferred Calista kind of have like a moment of like fighting for consciousness so that we could see how close he was, and then the other voices kind of taking over so that we could actually see like, oh, he was actually pretty close. Because like having Thresh be like, oh, he was so close, it's like doesn't mean, I don't know what it means that he was so close. Like it loses a lot of meaning just having him say it. I would love to see it.
Yeah, I completely agree. You can just drop that detail. It doesn't matter if he's close or not, because the point is that he's failed anyway. Like, I think you can just have him throw the amulet away, and you can still have Thresh come and take it, and just be savoring the tragedy of it all, because he just loves to see people suffer, right? He doesn't need to be like, oh, he was actually really close. That makes it, because it's supposed to be like, oh, that makes it even more tragic, but it kind of does the opposite, where it's like, oh, it could have just been a quiet moment, but the rest of it's pretty good. It's a really neat story to tell.
And I love to, every time we see Thresh in stories and cinematics, he's kind of like this big bad. He's like this raid boss that like people are fighting against and doing everything they can to either escape or just barely scrape out of. And I loved the visual of Ledros just being like, you're a little man.
Yeah.
Come on, step up, buddy. You won't.
He towers over him, apparently. And he's not afraid of Thresh. It is cool to see someone interacting with Thresh who's not above Thresh. Like, obviously, Viego wouldn't be afraid of him, but he's just not fucking afraid of him. He's just like, you don't scare me. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Ledros is actually pretty neat in general. I think, kind of like what you're saying, having this Spectre who is not just out and out evil, but is kind of acting with a more specific goal. I'd be more interested to see more stories with him, frankly.
Yeah, me too.
Or a champion.
He shows up in Ruined King. You gotta fight him.
Oh, what? You fight him?
You fight him.
But he's so nice.
No, he'll be back.
I know.
Yeah, there was a lot. One of the things I liked about this story too is they actually do kind of tie some of her gameplay into the description of how she fights in here. They mentioned that like even as she threw her spear, she's moving on to her next enemy, which is very much like her auto attacking and moving thing, which was pretty cool.
John, your next note.
Yeah, I was. It was another logistical question that I'm just curious about. So Hecarim's force ride spectral horses, right? And Calista kills one of the spectral horses. Do they also have to fight their way out of the mist?
What do you think it's like for a
How
horse
they get
in there?
back?
What's going on that
like
little horsey head?
Is it like a separate animal like mist, where there's all these like they gotta fight off gophers and shit?
Gopher?
I don't know.
That explains why they make it back so easily, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, horse probably pretty high in the fighting, like animal fight. Interesting. Ghost animal fights. Okay.
It's like Pokemon.
Yeah, frankly. We know there's ghost sharks. I was going to say, they show up in the Realms of Runeterra story too. So, who knows? Can a ghost shark beat a ghost horse?
I think the shark would win.
Get in the polls, folks. Who would win?
Shit. What kind of shark is it?
I can't think of a good joke.
I did like this story. This whole story had like a very like cool time loop feel, which I feel like given this past year of games with like fucking Returnal and Loop Hero, Outer Wilds, 12 minutes. Just half of the games that came out this past year.
Loop games.
It's very reminiscent of that. We're just like trying the same thing over and over again with slight variations. Like, maybe this is that. Nope. Maybe I'll try this. Oh shit.
Or Groundhog Day.
Or Groundhog Day.
Sure. I mean, I think that those are always fun stories in my mind, and I think like I said, it's a neat way to try and tackle this story, because you could have just had it be, Ledros just goes out and tries to save Calista, but really emphasizing how he's been doing this constantly and has been very Groundhog Day-esque, trying to just kill himself. It's like, okay, this makes me real sad. I can't save her, but I do just kind of want to die. It just doesn't work. You know, it's a neat story to try and tell in Runeterra in general, I think.
Yeah, I liked how Thresh and Ledros had a disagreement about what this eternal life was like, too. Because Thresh is like, he's loving it. He's like, yo, we have eternal life. People want this so bad. Why are you such a little baby? I'm curious what Ledros goes off and does after this, because he kind of has a moment where he's like, Thresh is right. I'm literally the only person here torturing myself. Everyone else is tortured for different reasons, and I could be fine, and I'm not. So I'm going to stop trying to bring Calista back. Where does he go?
He goes to a graveyard and then attacks the main characters of the room.
He goes to Bilgewater.
I'm pretty sure it's these
he's
people's
still in the
fault.
Shadow Isles.
Oh, spoilers.
Well, he talks about wanting to end the curse, and I think the line is like on to oblivion, right? I think that's the specific text.
Well, find something more fun to do. Teach yourself an instrument.
Yeah, don't play Oblivion, play Skyrim.
Well,
Please
I thought it'd
don't
be interesting.
give me mail about which Elder Scrolls game is better.
We all know Morrowind is the actual, proper pick. But I think it'd be interesting to have him go and hang out with Aatrox, because Aatrox wants to kind of destroy everything and end everything. And Ledros, I could see him getting to that point of seeing like that's the solution. If I don't know how else to stop this curse. If we destroy reality or whatever, that'll be the end of it. Fuck it.
I like this little pairing you come up with.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like Jinx just kind of joins in like, all right.
Why not?
The one question I had, and I feel like there's too many places where I would have to look to find a good answer for this, and I just wasn't willing to do that this week. I'm curious if Thresh does anything with the pendant, because I know Thresh has several pendants in several different stories, including kind of the one from the Ruined King, the one he hides in Bilgewater, the one that Calista used to keep back the mist when she traveled there in the first place. I'm sure he's somehow got that now too. Like, I'm curious if this in particular is a pendant that he uses again at any other point in his lore.
That's a good question, but it's also a good point that guy's got a lot of fucking pendants.
He's got way too many.
Got a lot of jewelry.
He's just walking around just blinged out. Drip Thresh, man, let me tell you. But yeah, I don't know.
That's why they call him the Chain Warden.
Yeah.
All the pendants. I would like if you clip the newest chains, it'd be like one of those charm bracelets, that really. And he's like, this is for my love of theater. And this is a microphone because we do karaoke every week.
Yes. Fuck yeah. I'm all about it.
All right. Now, she's also found in The Princeling's Lament by Graham McNeil, which is basically a poem, and you can tell it's a poem.
Because it rhymes. Yeah, it does.
Telling the story of the original Ruination and then picking up with a new prince traveling to the island to save his dead wife. So the prince's wife was poisoned, so he goes to the Shadow Isles hoping to revive her. There he encounters Hecarim, who promptly kills all his men, and Yorick, who helps him temporarily banish the mist. Yorick tells him the tale of how the Shadow Isles came to be, but then we find out the prince is actually the one who poisoned his wife to get her father's wealth, and he came here to learn the secrets to immortality, not revive her. Unfortunately for him, his wife made a deal with Calista for vengeance, so she straight up murks him, and then his soul's taken by Thresh for infinite torment. The end.
Thin.
Yay.
Imagine that, but rhyming.
Yeah. I like it. It's neat. I think, I'm sure we talked about this with Hecarim, but it was a neat way to kind of tell the story of the Shadow Isles while still telling an interesting
new
little
story.
New story. That nice sort of echoing of the what's happening. So
Yeah, an effective form of Brahmitis, where you tell the same story.
Brahmitis.
yeah, I like that.
She also shows up in The Shadow of War, which is Hecarim's bio. Basically, we don't learn anything new here. It's just through Hecarim's point of view. And also shows up in The Daring Darling, which is one of the stories in the Realms of Runeterra book.
And this is by
Laura Michette, or Miche, depending on how French it's pronounced.
Yeah, so I have a copy of this, and I read it, and it's really just a cameo. She shows up in a scene, and most of the time she is off-screen. There's another champion, who I won't spoil, who will be a lot more appropriate to go through this with. Yeah, but for now, Calista just kind of shows up a little bit at the end. The ritual shows up here again, which is a little fun.
Ooh.
But
Yeah, we get
beyond
that
that, there's not
3-pin
much.
thing again.
Yeah. So, that's it.
And she shows up in a few cinematics. First one, obviously, her release cinematic, The Pledge, which definitely, this version of her is very kind of avenging hero type, I guess, and less of like a spectral horror, kind of like we saw in the short story about her. She seemed to have a lot more, I guess, agency in this, in her little voiceover. But honestly, it was pretty cool. I liked it. It was, you get to see one of the betrayers being hunted by her. It's always neat. And then he dies.
It really it's fun. It definitely shows its age. I would love to see Calista get a new cinematic. I find it interesting how like she's talking and her mouth doesn't move, which I think is actually a cool enough like visual. But I think the real reason is because they don't want to, cause it's harder to like get voices synced up with like mouth animations and stuff. So it's just easier to have the characters either not move their mouth or like be strategically not facing the camera when they say certain things,
Yeah, especially if it's localized into lots of languages.
Yeah, exactly, right. So like for 2014, pretty fun. But it's the rest is starting to show a little bit on this one, I guess is what I'd say.
Now she's also in the Rise cinematic.
Is she in it, or?
So it depends. She is the spear of vengeance,
John!
and you do see a spear of vengeance. Her
It has
spear,
vengeance carved on the side.
right at the beginning of the cinematic, her spear is sticking out of some dude's back. One of the few weapons in that cinematic that's not just lying on the ground or sticking into the ground, it's actually sticking out of someone.
Interesting.
Now, I have a few quotes from her here, too. Basically just the ones that are also references to other pop culture stuff. We had a name once, and Kalista, yes, that was our name. It's a Gollum reference from Lord of the Rings. Those are Gollum quotes.
What a fucking nerd.
And then we were talking a little earlier about that Graves quote. Give in to your hate, Graves. Might be referencing Palpatine's very close to give in to your anger. I'm going to count it. And then, you toy with powers you do not comprehend, Death Singer. Also very close to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade quote. You're meddling with powers you can't possibly comprehend.
Maybe.
Yeah, so, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
She could use some more lines. I'd like Calista to get a little love. I don't know. I think her design is just really cool, and I'd like to see her get a little bit more love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she has a bunch of state-specific quotes, and I think she may have been one of the first champions to get this. I think this was probably very shortly after that internal demo of what could be with Draven, because she has a lot of things where like, oh, if you rescue a champion with your ult who's low on health, it'll say specific quotes that won't pop up otherwise, and like shit like that we didn't get from a lot of champions in that time period. That was kind of was a new thing. I don't know if she was the first one, but she was for sure an early one for that.
Yeah, for sure. I think she's just really well poised to be a vehicle for that type of stuff. She's got a lot of neat interactions, like with her ult, and just with the conceit of what she's doing. Right? There's probably a lot more champions she could have quotes with and interactions with. So it'd be fun to see her get some more of those. Also, like the whole idea of her being, like you kind of said, a hive mind of these different souls. I wish that was something that kind of showed up more in the stories and in her VO as well. You know.
Yeah.
Sorry, our Roomba started going upstairs again randomly. It took us a second to
oh,
realize
no,
what the fuck that sound
Should I
was.
shut up?
No, I can hear you fine. I'm so sorry. I
No,
thought it
it's
was
all
Sean's
good.
computer at first, and I
know,
was
me
like, God
too.
damn, is it okay? But
Man,
no,
that
the
fan's going
Roomba woke up.
overtime.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot of AU stuff to go over because she does not have a lot of skins, and half of them are, world skins, so they don't have lore attached. So anyone have any kind of canon things left for Calista before we move on to her 2 AUs?
I don't think so. I think we kind of covered it. I want to see her pair up with Alistar, or not pair up per se, but I think when I was reading through like the description of her getting betrayed and stuff, it reminded me of way back in Alistar where he kind of went through something similar, right? He went to go deal and it turned into a bloodbath. So if I was in this Alistar fan fiction in my head, I would love to have him be tempted to invoke Calista, right?
That would be fun. And then maybe he changes his mind or something.
Something like that, kind of playing around with that alongside this sort of rage that's supposed to kind of overtake him,
Yeah.
I think those two could kind of, work in tandem. But that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they'll ever change Calista, but I
No.
think it would be cool if they, I don't know, ever did do a big character jump like that. Seeing Calista, like, not go back to herself, but to kind of be in between, where she's more lucid, but still very much on board with this is my life now and this is what I want to do, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard. I think I said that at the start where it's hard because I think I like both potential interpretations of the character. Like just having this invocable spirit of vengeance that you do this cool, ritual for, and it's just like this unending sort of drive to like mete out vengeance at all costs. That's a lot of fun, Ghost Punisher type. Like that's cool. But she's got a cool enough sort of, I like her backstory a lot too. And getting some of those moments where you see, like they make reference to like people seeing, I think in the Shield wife, for example, like after they're bonded for a moment, she sees like the leader that Calista used to be and how glorious she looks. And it'd be really cool to kind of try and get some of that character back. It's kind of hard to
They don't have a
one or the
skin
other.
for that yet.
Yeah,
would be
right.
cool.
That would be, yeah. I'm surprised she has so few skins. I guess
I know.
it's a weird silhouette to work with, but still,
I think, I don't know, I would think she was fairly popular, but maybe that's it, though. I know, like, Riot has talked about how people don't like monstery champions quite as much, like, they don't sell as much, and their skins don't sell as much, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
though.
I can see that.
But it's a bummer. Anyway, what are her 2 AUs?
She is part of, first, Blood Moon. An ancient cult seeking irresistible power surfaces on nights of the blood moon to perform profane esoteric rites, merging their flesh with demonic spirits and becoming one with an ever greater darkness. Fun fact about this AU, the writer Carnival Knight has weighed in that the blood moon, who is actually a sentient being, is one of the most powerful beings in the multiverse, perhaps just behind the Dark Star.
Interesting. I didn't realize that the blood moon was a sentient being. That's very it's like very bloodborne is the way I think about it. Interesting. Huh.
Yeah, just learned that too. And this one is Blood Moon Calista. Now, you might not recognize this lore, so this is for Calista. A demon of vengeance, summoned on the night of the blood moon. Callista's singular obsession with betrayers knows no limits. Any deception, no matter how trivial, will be met with death. Her victims are left hanging from the walls of their homes, a warning to those who remain.
Oh, they got really lazy with this one.
Well, she's got so many skins, It's just...
Can't keep up. And she's also part of Marauders vs. Wardens, which is set in an alternate Runeterra where each champion is a warrior fighting on the Summoner's Rift.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that Marauders and Wardens they're on Summoner's Rift. God damn it.
I know.
Now this one is Marauder Calista. The Mage Lords, furious, brutal, and glorious in their conquest, a sect of warriors long lost to the sands of time. Until now. Resurrected by the current Marauder leaders, Callista's desire for vengeance has only festered over the millennia. Now she returns, more powerful than ever, to eradicate the Wardens and everything they've built.
So again with the vengeance, huh?
Yeah, she got more vengeance.
All right.
Why can't she be the Spear of Forgiveness in any of these AU?
Honestly, I think you could have a lot of fun with Calista. I really would like her to get a lighter skin. I don't know what that would be per se, but I don't know. Play with how severe she is. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. These two skins have like they have the same exact color scheme. Like they're not all that different when you look at them. I'm sure in game they probably look pretty similar, to be honest.
Yeah,
just that metallic red.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame. I don't know.
And here are some fun facts about Calista.
Hell yeah.
A bunch of them we've actually already gone over, but
It's okay.
So we talked about the one of the short stories she was in. So a thing about Calista, Vladimir was soul marked by Calista at one point. But he was able to banish her with the help of a magical artifact before being taken.
That's fun. The idea that someone could actually stop her is interesting, because she seems pretty unstoppable as of right now.
Yeah, so Vladimir found a way to do it. Vladimir also has relations to that whole thing being, part of also a relation to Viego.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot about that. God, damn.
Yeah, and this was, I think, confirmed by I've read post somewhere, but not necessarily in any stories. But Calista occasionally comes after Tom Kench as well, but he has found safety from her due to the contracts he makes with the victims. I guess proving that there's no technical betrayal in play.
Oh, God.
They got their lawyers there. It's like you can clearly see subsection C. Oh my God.
I really Calista is bound by legalities.
She pulls out her reading glasses. Like, okay.
Hang on.
Let me take a look at that.
The little ghost
bifocal.
that she sends out on her W are like her interns. Okay,
got a little
lawyer
briefcase.
Calista. All right.
Ooh,
Interesting.
I like this.
Okay.
A fully stacked Rend has the highest AD ratio in the game
Disgusting.
at 8,915% AD boost.
Damn, son.
Her dance is a reference to Oberyn Martell's spear dance from Game of Thrones.
I would not recognize that.
Yeah, I really wouldn't either, and I like Game of Thrones, but yeah.
Callista's Champion Spotlight was the first one to feature the updated Summoner's Rift map.
Oh, shit.
Oh shit.
Damn, she's that old, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Almost predated.
really dating yourself, man.
Yeah, the quote, new Summoner's Rift map.
And the Black Spear is the third champion unique item in the game, the first being Prototype Hex Core, which was Victor's unique item, and the second being Bone Tooth Necklace, which was Rengar's unique item before it merged with his Unseen Predator ability. Used to take up an item slot.
Yeah, I guess I like her spear a lot. I think that's a really cool, gameplay and lore kind of tie-in type thing. It's really neat that it actually happens in game, and then even plays like the death animation and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. We good?
Oh, she's voiced by Misty Lee.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's Calista.
That's Calista.
That's Calista. We did it. Thank you for listening. We are on Twitter @Loreheads, and we post these on YouTube if you ever want to chat there. We also have a Discord, which will be linked in the description of this episode. All right. And be sure to join us next week, because we're going a very different direction and talking about the Enlightened One, Karma.
Back to the Ruination.
Shit. God damn it. At every fucking turn.